Hello, everyone, and welcome to Walking Through the Bible. The Bible's teachings on divorce and remarriage run counter to what the world practices today. If you don't love your spouse anymore, simply divorce them and marry someone else you do love. We have divorce for any, every, and also no cause whatsoever. However, that's not what God's law says. God says we must marry according to His design. And for Christians, that means not marrying someone who was improperly divorced for a cause other than adultery. For the people of Ezra's day, that meant not marrying foreign women. For those who did have these unlawful marriages, the solution was to end these marriages. But there's always excuses, especially sentimental ones, that are given for why that's unreasonable or impossible. What are those reasons? And what do we learn about the answer to them here in Ezra? Let's find out. So if you have a Bible with you, turn to Ezra chapter 10. Ezra chapter 10, we're going to be reading from verses 18 to 44. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry, just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So Ezra chapter 10, beginning at verse 18. And among the sons of the priests who had taken pagan wives, the following were found of the sons of Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, and his brothers, Maaseiah, Eleazar, Jerub, and Gedaliah. And they gave their promise that they would put away their wives, and being guilty, they presented a ram of the flock as their trespass offering. Also of the sons of Immer, Hanani, Zebediah, of the sons of Haram, Maaseiah, Elijah, Shemaiah, Jehiel, and Uzziah. Of the sons of Pashur, Elionai, Maaseiah, Ishmael, Nethanel, Jozabad, and Elasa. And of the Levites, Jozabad, Shimei, Kaliah, the same as Kalita, Pethahiah, Judah, and Eleazar. Also of the singers, Eliashib, and of the gatekeepers, Shallum, Telem, and Uri. And others of Israel, of the sons of Parosh, Ramiah, Josiah, Milkiah, Mijamin, Eleazar, Malchijah, and Benaiah. Of the sons of Elam, Mattaniah, Zechariah, Jehiel, Abdi, Jeremoth, and Eliah. Of the sons of Zatu, Elionai, Eliashib, Mattaniah, Jeremoth, Zabad, and Aziza. Of the sons of Bebai, Johanan, Hananiah, Zabbai, and Athli. Of the sons of Bani, Meshullam, Malach, Adiah, Jashub, Sheel, and Ramoth. Of the sons of Pahath Moab, Adnah, Chelal, Benaiah, Messiah, Mattaniah, Bezalel, Binui, and Manasseh. Of the sons of Haram, Eleazar, Ishijah, Malchijah, Shemaiah, Shimeon, Benjamin, Maluk, and Shemariah. Of the sons of Hashem, Mattani, Mattata, Zabad, Eliphalet, Jeremiah, Manasseh, and Shimei. Of the sons of Bani, Maadai, Amram, Ul, Benaiah, and Bedaiah. Chalul, Vaniah, Meremoth, Eliashib, Mattaniah, Mattaneh, Jaasai, Bani, Binui, Shimei, Shelemiah, Nathan, Adiah. Macnabadai, Shashai, Sherai, Azarel, Shelemiah, Shemariah, Shallum, Amariah, and Joseph. Of the sons of Nebo, Jaleel, Mattaniah, Zabad, Zabina, Jedi, Joel, and Benaiah. All these had taken pagan wives, and some of them had wives by whom they had children. Now we might be tempted to say, well, what's the big deal here? As long as the people didn't go off after idols, who cares if their wives were foreign, pagan wives? Certainly self-control and devotion to God can trump all of the pitfalls that these marriages might bring. Well, first of all, remember from our study of 1 Corinthians, let him who thinks he stands take heed lest he fall. There should never be a point in our lives where we're so confident in ourselves and our own abilities to resist sin that we intentionally put ourselves in the way of temptation. Someone might think that they love their wives so much and aren't attracted to anyone else that they let their guard down when it comes to being completely alone with another woman. You might think that that woman may have no interest in you, and that might be true. But say you've had a fight with your spouse, or there's a lot of stress at work that leaves you uptight, then in a time of weakness, the two of you decide to engage in sexual relations in order to relieve the tension. Neither of you went in desiring this, and it wouldn't have happened if you weren't alone, but it happened because you thought you were impervious to lust and adultery, because you loved your wife so much. So, coming back to Ezra, the Israelites needed to understand that as long as the temptation remained, the opportunity to sin was there. But there's another thing we need to consider. It was against God's law. Deuteronomy 7 forbade the children of Israel from marrying pagan wives. Now, yes, they broke this law, and God seemingly overlooked this for a time as long as they remained faithful in regards to worshiping Him alone and offering the proper sacrifices. But to assume that God was always going to overlook this was foolish, and Ezra knew that. If Israel wanted to be saying that they were following after God, they had to follow the whole law, not just the parts they liked. And that meant ending these marriages that were against God's law. Now, of course, there could have been objections to this course of action, objections that still are given today. One of them being, well, think of the children. Wouldn't it be better for the children to live in a household with two parents, a father and a mother, rather than a home where one parent is absent? And the answer to that is, of course it would be better. But an important lesson that children need to be taught from an early age is God matters. God's instructions matter. And if we do something that breaks God's law, in other words, we sin, then we have got to correct that, no matter what the consequences are. If the situation could be rectified without tearing apart the home, then by all means take that option. But the situation in Ezra's day couldn't, and neither can situations involving unlawful marriages today. Therefore, divorce was and is the only option. Is this conclusion supported by the text? Yes, it is. For verse 44 says that these people put away their pagan wives, which some of them had children with. Now, this action didn't mean that they didn't have to care for their former wives or their children. They did. But they couldn't live in sin any longer if they wanted to be followers of God. It is truly a lesson for us today. God comes first, and some decisions have tough consequences. But they can be done, and we can serve God faithfully. This situation was rampant in Israel, as is evident by the sheer number of names found here at the end of Ezra. It touched all classes of Israelite families, including the priests, who had specifically been banned from taking pagan wives in Leviticus 21. That's how deep this problem went, which is why it was so important to root it out. For if they didn't, idolatry would eventually come. And if it came, God would have been angry, and who knows what He would have done. But Israel did uproot this problem, and God was pleased. However, there was a further consequence from this action that carried forward to the time of Jesus, a likely consequence that the Jews shouldn't have taken from Ezra, which was that God was banning eating with those who were not Jews. In our studies of the New Testament, we find that the Jews thought it was sinful to eat with a Gentile. That's why Peter was questioned about Cornelius in Acts 11, and why Jesus was questioned on numerous occasions for the company he kept. If the Jews got this idea from Ezra, it was a misunderstanding of this passage. This passage had to do with marriages alone, not associations. The law of Moses back in Deuteronomy didn't ban friendships with foreigners, nor did it ask for complete segregation. Yes, they were to utterly destroy the peoples of the land when they entered, but once that war was over, the command to do so was obsolete. It was not a continual command. Thus, eating with Gentiles was not sinful, and under Christ it would be sinful to intentionally segregate ourselves as Christians by class, race, or other things. We're all one in Christ and should treat each other as such, each person fulfilling the roles God has given them to do. Let's not take the teachings of Ezra so far so as to pervert them and make them say what they do not. Let's follow God and God alone. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's overall review of what was revealed to us in this book as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time. We thank you for watching Walking Through the Bible today. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below. But if you like this video, we ask that you consider subscribing to our channel so you won't miss out on other videos in our series, as well as share this video among your friends so that the saving message of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.